the year 2000. Celebrated my 60th birthday in Clermont.
Yes, that's right. I invited a whole bunch of people from all over the place to meet me in Clermont, and we actually had a birthday dinner at the Terminus, the local hotel. And, sort of most of my friends came. Fran and Clive didn't make it. I don't know what they were up to. And John and Barbara, I don't think, made it.
No, I think you're right.
But Alan Lee did, and Claude and Michelle did, Marie-Pierre and Olivier did, Eula all came, Elisa made it.
Yes. One of the last times she's been on a plane.
Last time she was on a plane, yeah. And it was nice. It was really cool. I mean, the hotel was... Oh, John and Kate came from Switzerland, Veronica and Arthur. And no, it was nice. It was really nice. People came for a few days, so they were sort of floating around and could see my little part of the world. Yeah.
Aunt Joan came?
Oh, that's right, Aunt Joan and whatever her name. What's her friend's name? God, I can't think. Jean.
Jean, that's
and
right.
her friend Jean came. They took the bus from England.
In 28 hours.
Yeah, straight through via Lyon. Yeah, they came. Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun, actually. It was a lot of fun. And everybody saw Clermont as well. They saw where I live. They saw the house, but they also saw,
The market.
the town, the market, the bar, the negotiants, and yeah, they met some of the friends that I have in Clermont. It was good, and the hotel was fantastic. They gave, the meal. They gave me a real deal on the meal, and they even produced a birthday cake, if you remember, with flames. And in fact, the lady who was sort of the chief waitress at the Terminus at that time now is the waitress at the Venice.
Oh, really?
The pizza joint. Yeah, she's moved. And also the Terminus has changed ownership, I don't know, 2 or 3 times since then.
Right.
But it was cool. I mean, and John and Kate, John obviously, he's so weird about hotel rooms and things, and he was next to my Aunt Joan and Jean, who speak loudly and late into the night, and John and Kate moved. And the other embarrassing thing was they got their car broken into.
Right.
In spite of me saying, no, you can park it there, it's no problem. But, Swiss registration, Beamer.
Wow.
Yeah, anyhow. Yeah, that was cool. That was pretty good, actually. It was a fun thing.
It was neat, because it was fun to walk around the town and bump into people who I knew.
Well, and Lola Dye were there. Yeah, there was all kinds of people floating around. Yeah, no, it was really good. It was really good. Yeah.
And those just the pictures of... Because that night that we spent at the Terminus, it was outside.
Oh, yeah.
No,
it's outside, it's the middle of summer, it's warm.
Yeah.
And it was like a really cool mix. And, and everybody was talking to everybody else. It was kind of neat. They weren't all in a sort of little cliquey groups kind of thing, Aunt Joan and Jean were chatting to Claude and Michelle, and Marie-Pierre's yapping away to somebody else. It was very cool. It was a really nice meeting, actually, a nice occasion, a really nice occasion, actually.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it too.
Yeah, well, that's important because it was your birthday.
Yeah. But often those things, you do it, and it's such a hell of a strain at the end of it. You think, thank God it's over, and like.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't have to do that for another 20 years.
Yeah.
And what else? So that was that.
So that was, that was your birthday, and then you went to Paris with Daisy.
That's right. Daisy and I guess it was her 10th birthday.
So that would have been 2003.
2003. We decided that she could go wherever she wanted to go. With me for a week.
Just you.
Just me. This was the deal. And And so she chose to go to Paris.
Ah, okay.
And so we indeed went to Paris, and we stayed at the Hotel Magenta, which is, quite a pleasant hotel and sort of in a reasonable part of Paris, not the super kind of trendy part,
Right.
but an okay part. And we did, the usual Parisian, the Louvre, the, Tuileries and all that kind of shit.
Right.
And we also did the, what do you call the cave? The
The underground.
underground. What the heck?
I don't know.
Um,
The labyrinth, the stuff that's
yes.
the
Good grief.
crypts.
Yeah, I know, but it's called something else. Yeah, it's the sort of crypts. Anyhow, where they buried all the bodies.
Yeah.
So we did that. But the highlight was we went to the Moulin Rouge in the evening. And I had to buy a tie because you had to wear a tie to go in there.
Right.
But they were very sweet. They were, you go in and, I don't know what it was, but sort of we had drinks and then dinner, and you get to watch the floor show.
Right.
And the people there were just so wonderful. They, Daisy didn't want to drink champagne. I had champagne.
Right.
She had orange juice or something, and then we had a meal, and we just had such a nice time. It was brilliant.
Do you think other kids went in there?
Well, I don't think that Daisy was the only kid who'd ever been, because they sort of, I don't think it was very common, but on another level, it wasn't unheard of, like they sort of knew either that or they're just like really good at dealing with. It's a big sort of tourist attraction, so they probably get people from all over the world, half of whom A, don't speak any French, and B, God only knows, young, old, whatever.
Sure.
But it was, it's the can and all that kind of stuff, but it's pretty sort of benign in a sense. Yeah, they're all topless and all this kind of stuff, but it's not sort of a sexy thing, it's a sort of spectacle, it's a show.
Right.
And anyhow, it was really good, and I think Daisy will remember it forever, and as will I, and I found it was rather a good excuse to go there. I'm not quite sure how I would have gone there otherwise, so to speak. It was great going in with her, and on my arm. It was cool. It was very cool.
You did the aquarium. You did a bunch of stuff.
Oh, we did like all
Zoo
kinds
and
of
all
stuff.
sorts.
Yeah, and the Bois de Boulogne. We crammed a lot into a week or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was yes, a very busy time. But it was neat, and we had like a tiny room. And we've been back to the hotel, and they've since totally renovated it. It's completely different,
Oh, right.
totally different. It's still a pleasant hotel, but before it was sort of, I don't know, sort of kind of homey and really French. Now it's sort of more internet, it's sort of less character somehow.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool.
Modernized.
Yes.
Okay, and then you did the Trans-Canadian train trip with Daisy, too.
That was another thing we did. We decided that we would go across Canada on the train.
Right.
And again, a really good value. I can't remember how much it costs now.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. But it was fantastic. And so we got on, I remember we got on at 10 o'clock at night at Union Station.
Mm-hmm.
And we had cocktails, as we got on. Then we had a sort of a sleeper that converted to a living room in the day kind of thing.
Okay.
And which was like your own compartment with 2 bunk beds and 2 armchairs basically, and a sink, and a toilet. So you were totally self-contained. If you wanted a shower, each car had a shower place at the end.
Right.
And I was really surprised. We had showers, and you'd think it would be a hassle getting in kind of thing.
Sure.
But oddly enough, we never had to wait. I don't know quite if nobody else had a shower or what. But anyhow, so that was nice. And the other really cool thing about it was that you ate on board, obviously. You had
Right.
3 meals a day. And they had 3 sittings
Right.
in the dining room. And if you had the first sitting one day, then the next day you'd have the third.
Wow, so you saw different people.
Like, anyhow, and well, you did more than see different people. What you did is you lined up, you went in, and they just sat you down.
Oh.
And the tables were all for 4.
Right.
So, like, if you're standing behind, Joe and Bill or whatever it was, you got to sit next to them
Sure.
or not.
Sure.
So every meal we had a different companions. Now, if you wanted to, you could fiddle it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, well, you say, right,
Change places in
before
line.
you get in the line, give me a shout, and we'll, you can be right behind us, and we're a party of 4.
Yeah.
But we didn't do that, and we had dinner and breakfast and lunches with all kinds of really nice people.
That's
Really,
like a
really.
4-day trip, was it?
Yes, about a 4-day trip, and then we went from, I think, Calgary. We went up to Edmonton, and then Edmonton we went down to Jasper, and we stopped in Jasper for about 3 or 4 hours, and got out and sort of did the whole kind of
Took a
stare at
mountain.
the mountain
Yeah.
and do all that kind of nonsense. But it was a really, really cool trip. It was very, very cool. And then we got eventually to Vancouver, and at Vancouver we saw Laurel. We saw
okay.
Laurel, and Laurel had got Patrick's camping gear.
Right.
So we picked that up, which gave us tent, sleeping bags, and all that stuff. And we rented a car, and then we went camping, and we drove north on Vancouver Island camping.
Oh, right.
Which was like, Daisy, I don't think she'd ever been camping like, it was like a pup tent. It
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
family camping.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
sort of, the other kind of camping. Anyhow, that was okay. We did that. And then we were going up to Alert Bay because we were going to meet Joe up there.
All right.
So we went, we wended our way up. And about halfway up, I can't remember the name of the place, we went canoeing, which was really cool. We rented kayaks and canoed across to some island somewhere off there, and that was fun. And Daisy was up for all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then we eventually got to Alert Bay, and we met Joe at the ferry sort of terminus, and then we went across on the ferry to Cormorant Island, which is where she is.
Right.
And sort of checked into her place. And then Dave, the guy she was living with, had a tugboat,
All right.
really, that he'd restored.
Right.
So what happened was that Daisy and I lived on the tugboat for the weekend. That's where we stayed. Like, that was like the guest cottage.
Cool.
So we stayed on this boat, which was pretty cool, actually. And then the weekend, we must have got there on a Friday or a Thursday, I can't remember when exactly. And then that weekend we took a trip on the tugboat with Joe and Dave.
Right.
And the highlight of which was going to some piddly little island where Dave showed us an Indian grave complete with skull and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, which was pretty cool. Daisy was very impressed.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so we did that and had a nice weekend with Joe and Dave and came back. And then we drove back down the island.
Right.
And then we stayed at my friend Louise's. Louise lives in Victoria. So we stayed with her and her guy, Doug, for a day or two, I can't remember, and got sort of cleaned up.
Right.
And then we went to whose wedding was it?
Could have been Laurel.
Laurel's wedding.
Laurel.
It was Laurel's wedding. We went to Laurel's wedding on the Saturday, and with all everybody was there, and all the family, and did the whole thing, and Nick, Laurel's husband, and his family were of German origin, and so we had this big kind of after wedding dinner and all this kind of shit. It was really, really nice, actually. And then I think that was on the Saturday, and then on Sunday morning we took a plane back here. So it was quite a trip, actually. And we did a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
That was cool. All right. So then the next trip was to Morocco with Claude.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And Michelle and
yes, that was
Marie-Hélène.
that was. I went back to France after all this excitement, and then I think it was in the spring. Anyhow, Claude said that he was going to Morocco for a trip, and would I like to come? And he had spent, during his military service, he had been based in Morocco.
Oh, okay.
So he sort of kind of knew about it, Anyhow, the deal was we'd drive down to the bottom of Spain, get the ferry across, go to Marrakesh,
Right.
and Marie-Hélène knew somebody there, a Swiss guy, and we had his apartment
Oh,
in
cool.
Marrakesh with a maid. It came with a maid, which was
Wow.
rather nice. Yeah. Anyhow, it was a great. It was Claude and Michelle, Marie-Hélène and me
In a car.
in Claude's car,
Right.
and we drove, did Marrakesh, did all the sort of. I mean, I still have this weird picture of Marrakesh which I can never get out of my mind. I went to an ATM. And a camel walked by. And I'm thinking, hello, this is an interesting culture. We've got an ATM, so totally up to date, 21st century shit. And then this guy goes by on a camel,
It's like down a regular street?
Yeah. And he wasn't the only guy on a camel. There weren't hundreds of them around, but they were just part of the furniture. Yeah. And the other weird thing in Marrakesh was they had cabs which you shared.
Oh, okay.
So you get in a cab and there's already people in it.
Right.
And then they get out maybe, or you get out, and other people get in. And they're all Mercedes, large Mercedes.
Right.
But you share cabs.
Huh.
Anyhow, and it's, pretty cheap. And Marrakesh was really exotic. I mean, it's definitely you're in North Africa. This ain't Europe. There's this souk and all this sort of stuff that we went to, and because Claude had lived there, I don't know how long he was based there, but sort of like a year or something.
Yeah,
He was interested in the culture and knew quite a lot about it.
Right.
And B, he seemed to know vaguely his way around.
Right.
Anyhow, we stayed at this Swiss bloke's house, and I don't know where he was, away on business. It was rather a nice sort of a big apartment. It was obviously because there were 4 of us, so there were at least 3 bedrooms.
Wow.
And I think there were 4. There was quite a lot. The guy was a sort of serious business dude.
Yeah,
It was a sort of,
Swiss
and it
mafia.
had this woman, this lady, the maid, because he said the company paid for the maid.
Oh, right.
So,
And did she cook for you as well? or-
Yeah, she cooked.
Oh, nice.
And, made the beds and all that kind of
Fantastic.
crap. It was kind of weird, actually. But anyhow, it was kind of nice.
So, back to Claude. What did he do in the war that he was
He was a
stationed in Morocco?
paratrooper.
He
Yeah.
jumped out of planes?
Jumped out of plane. Typical Claude, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a parachuter. I mean, I don't know why he was in North Africa.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
enough.
War
Maybe
history.
that's where they trained. You didn't want to train in Europe. You get blown out of the.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he was.
Huh.
Actually, let me just rethink it. It wasn't during the war.
Oh, okay.
It was.
It was just his service.
It was military service. At 18, it was like at 18 you had to do a year and a half in the army.
Olivio went
somewhere.
to
Yeah, he
Algeria or
he
something.
went to Algeria. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Claude went to Morocco.
Okay.
That's what
But
it was.
he still did parachuting. When
Oh yeah, he
that
did
was his
parachuting.
service.
That was his thing.
For his 2 years.
Yeah. So anyhow, he seemed to sort of know his way around.
Yeah.
And then, so after Marrakesh, what we did, we drove south, right to the border
Oh, okay.
And it was really cool. I mean, where we stopped, you could then go to sort of Timbuktu and all that sort of stuff from there. I mean, we stopped and came back.
Right.
But so it was kind of interesting because Claude had been a parachutist and stationed there. Marie-Hélène and her husband had been, to do with his job, had also been posted there. So Marie-Hélène also knew something about it. Anyhow, we went down, and I tell you, it was like in the Bible. You're driving along a road, and there's a bloke in long robes with his sheep, just sort of, hello, we've just gone back 2,000 years, know, and there's this sort of chap with his flock, wandering around. And the castles were absolutely incredible, mainly made out of mud.
Right.
And it was a very interesting trip. It was the only sort of odd note was that I had a row with Claude because we were sharing the driving, and he, in French, overtake is doubler. You say doubler. And Claude, if there was a car on the horizon, you had to overtake it.
Right.
And I didn't see any point. I'm sort of having quite a nice time just driving and looking at the landscape and stuff. And he wanted me to, so I stopped the car and got out and said, okay, mate, you drive. I'm not driving if you're going to be like this.
Right.
But no, Claude is sort of not a man to bear a grudge.
Right.
So, okay, well, you're just being an irritating Englishman or Canadian or whatever it is, And so he took over again and, drove like a bat out of hell, and that was it, But no, it was a really good trip. It was neat because it was all in French.
Right.
And it was in an exotic kind of environment where they spoke French.
Sure.
And the cuisine, and Moroccan cuisine, is really nice. I mean, it's sort of, it's spicy, but not sort of hot type. It's just kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. And so, we ate well. And it's also dead cheap, like really inexpensive.
So this is your first time in Africa?
Yeah, the only time in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing was, the hotels we stayed at all had the footprint toilets. There was none of this. There's no seats.
Right.
Yeah. But everywhere was clean. Everybody was so nice. They're very hospitable people, and it was just wonderful. And it's steeped in history.
Yeah.
And as I say, the landscape and the sort of, once you're outside the towns, it's like the Bible, it's like shepherds with flocks of sheep.
Yeah, pretty exotic. I mean, nothing like you'd seen before, right?
Oh,
it's not old Europe, and it's not New Canada. This is like
a whole other world. Yeah.
African and mosques and
there's mosques everywhere, and
different architecture, everything.
Yes, it was very different.
Okay. So then, now we're 2006, and Poppy is born.
Right.
So.
What do we say about that? I got another grandchild.
Yeah. Well, you were still living here, right? Were you living here at this point in time? No.
I moved to France permanently in 2006.
Oh, okay.
So Poppy was born after I had moved to France.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I bought the house in 99 and would do these trips sort of back and forth.
Right.
For the whole summer or various times and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then in 2006, we got rid of Sackville.
Yeah.
We sold Sackville and
Yeah, so I guess that's it. Like I got out of Sackville probably 2003.
Yes. And I rented to Matyash.
Yeah.
Well, after you got out of Sackville.
Yeah.
And then you got married.
Well, I got married in the backyard, did all that stuff.
Yeah, and did the streetcar thing. And then,
right.
So we did all of that.
You had a renter for a couple of years, Matyash.
And Matyash rented.
I guess...
You bought Austin.
Yeah.
Because that's where you were...
that's when I was married, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, so then
Poppy's born.
You sell Sackville, move to France,
Right.
and then Poppy is born.
That's right. Yeah, I do all that in the spring.
Right.
I went that spring. I went to Rob's place with Claire, and a road trip. I did a road trip to Rob's place
Right.
with Claire. We did Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
I don't know. We must have rented a car. I don't think I had a car. No, I didn't have a car.
No.
So we rented a car and we drove down to Rob's
Right.
that spring. I remember putting the house up for sale sort of before we went,
Right.
and when I got back, I'd sold it.
Nice.
Yeah, Richard Silver.
2 weeks.
2 weeks done.
Perfect.
Yeah, no
Just
fiddling
the
around.
way you like it.
Yeah, and then so.
And you got above what you were asking for and everything.
Oh yeah, I got more than what. I mean, I can't remember.
I can't remember either, but I know we bought it for sort of 3, and then we did a bunch of renovations.
I think I got it for 6,
Sold it for
60
7
or
or
something, or 7. I can't
Yeah.
remember what it was.
That's good.
And then Poppy was born in the November,
Right.
and then I was back here at Christmas.